expand on it. If someone asks you a question and you don't know the answer is, I don't know. I'll try to find out. I'll get back to you. But so the other thing is be honest. One of the things people do when they have to speak in public is they try to memorize. Don't. Don't try to memorize. There will be some memorization, but you don't want to sound like you're reciting something. So even when we're doing the night before Christmas, after I did it 20 times, it was memorized, but I still read it. And there's a way of reading something where it looks, for instance, when you watch the news on TV, and I don't care which channel you're watching, they are reading the news, but it looks, because they can handle the teleprompters and they can handle the scripts, it looks like they're just talking to you. And that's what you want. So there are certain things that you can do to do that. For instance, I have the book Night Before Christmas. It's large print. You want things in large print. Let me get rid of the okay. So if you notice, that is printed up really large. So it makes it very easy for me to look at it while I'm looking at either the camera or the audience. And I can also mark the book where I'm stopping, where I'm taking a breath. Those are all little tricks of the trade. I will tell you, I was in school. I was one of the finalists in a public speaking contest. And I came in second. And my professor screamed at me, called me all sorts of names. Why? I put everything on index cards, and we had to go do the same speech 4 times. On the last time, I screwed up the order of the cards. And I just sort of did a Ralph Cramden, humna, 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 humna. And what I learned is now when I'm doing public speaking, there's 1, there's 2. Oh, it's simple. I mean, I was an idiot. I didn't number them. And I just lost my place, and I came in second in the contest. I should have taken first. So I didn't memorize. I did all the right things. I spoke slowly, but I put down my cards 1 time too many. I didn't set them up properly, and I lost my place. And it really threw me off. It wasn't that I didn't know the topic. It's that it just threw me off. Very important also, have a set list of what you're going to say. In the case of a reading, you have what you're going to be reading. Also, water. Have water ready. If you notice, I don't have a label on it because I don't want to push some brand. It's not a big deal, but I don't have to tell people I'm paying off Poland Spring. If they paid me for it, I'd do product placement, no problem. They're not paying me, so I'll take the label off. Very important, the first 30 seconds that you're speaking, that's when you make your first impression. Yes, you know this. You know that first impressions are important. So the first 30 seconds, stop, look at your audience, smile, and then go into your speech, or then go into your reading. All right, but establish that what we call rapport with your audience. You're touching them. Try to look at everybody in the audience and smile. You all have worked on your smiles for years. That's right. I saw that, Bob. I'm blinded now. It was that twinkle. Um, in fact, I was criticized because my mustache was covering my mouth. And they said, no one can see your smile. You got to trim it. So yeah, I trimmed it. Be aware of your audience. So if you see somebody who's like trying to get a word in, but they feel too shy or they put their hand up, acknowledge them. Even if it's to say, please hold on to the question and I'll get back to you about it. Because if you feel it's going to interrupt the flow, you have every right to ask them to hold on to the question. And then the final thing I have to say is practice, practice, practice. We've been told this. If you're doing acting, if you're doing singing, if you're a musician, if you're a magician, to practice. And I cannot stress that enough. Practice, get used to the equipment you're using, if it's a microphone, if it's a camera, and enjoy yourself. Show that you're enjoying yourself. If you're not enjoying yourself, run for politics. Any questions so far? So now I am going to toss it over to George.
You're muted. You're on mute.
No. Okay, there we go.
There you go.
So yeah, as a lot of you know, my background is singing. I have a bachelor's and master's in vocal performance. I worked on PhD at the University of Iowa. I was all but dissertation, and I moved to Connecticut. And part of my background is I was a professional opera singer for about 15 years. And then I taught voice at the university level for about 18 years. And what I learned as a singer has helped me as a Santa Claus, especially in larger venues where you tend to be talking over a soundtrack and lots of children and parents and noise. And if you're doing an 8-hour stretch or a 4-hour stretch, or even if you're on your Zoom platform, you know, for 6 hours or all day, however you're doing it, I have some tips to keep your voice healthy and safe for the season. And you might be doing quite a bit more talking than you're used to. So, and as a voice teacher, Gary already said, have some water. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. It is one of the simplest yet most effective way to keep your voice healthy. Your vocal cords, your vocal folds, where you produce sound right here in your Adam's apple, that's generally the first place where you will tend to find out that you're dehydrated, is with your vocal folds. So hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. The singer's motto is pee pale. If you're urinating and your urine is pale, then you are getting enough water. And, you know, during the season, it's dry, you're hot, you're sweating in your red suit. Make sure you hydrate. It's the best thing you can do for your voice. And as an actor and a singer, I have to tell you, I'm awfully surprised when people don't warm up before a job. It's really nice being an actor as opposed to an opera singer, because you don't have to warm up as much and you don't have to spend hours in a practice room. It feels kind of like you're cheating, but you do have to warm up. And as a voice teacher, yeah, I always found that like 15 to 20 minutes of really simple exercises are enough to kind of lubricate it, get the blood flow going, get the muscles loose. And it doesn't really matter what vocal exercises you're doing as long as you're doing them. And humming is good because you can't hurt your voice when you hum. You're not putting full sound or full air from it. I like exercises that go from high to low and not so much low to high, although, you know, when you're doing them, you break that rule too. So here are a couple of things to do. The first thing, and the first exercise I'm going to show you, I'm really bad at this. It's called a lip bubble or a lip trill. Singers do this all the time. and you go, and you do that for as long as you can on a sound. I have to put the corners of my fingers at the corners of the mouth. Some people that are really good at this, and I'm not good at this. Like I had a voice teacher that could do it for 3 days without taking a breath. Up and down the scale, a few arpeggios, and I'm good for about 5 seconds of doing this. I played saxophone and bass clarinet, so I think it ruined my ability to do this. But lip trills, you're sending twice as much air through your vocal system as when you sing or talk. So it's just a good way to get your breath going. The other thing to do is warm up your entire range of your voice. From top to bottom, I love doing vowels. I did a lot of vowel work as a singer. And if you do real simple slide exercises like going from your highest part of your range to your lowest part of your range, you cannot hurt yourself doing that exercise. And it actually is stretching your vocal folds, your vocal cords out, actually like this. And so it's a good warm-up exercise. Tongue twisters are great. Singing Christmas carols are great. If you have your favorite Christmas carol, sing through it like 2 or 3 times. You'll be warmed up. Pick a bunch of tongue twisters. You know, consonants, consonants, consonants. And as we get into my tips for speaking in public, you have to use more final consonants. As Americans, we are tending towards dropping the ends of words all the time. When people are listening to you, it's not the vowels that people can hear, it's the consonants that actually make you stand out in a noisy situation. If you're singing with an orchestra and you have this big wall of sound, it's your consonants that kind of cut through a lot of noise. So make yourself clear, use more final consonants, do tongue twisters, anything to kind of get your speech here on the tip of your tongue, okay? My own personal preference for Santa, and I wish not to offend anyone here, but use your own voice. Don't put on a fake voice. Don't go, well, hello there, little girl. Ho, ho, ho. Yeah. Use your real voice. Kids get really turned off when they see a Santa putting on some sort of fake voice. Use your own accent. Don't, just keep it simple. That's Gary's rule, and it's true. Just use your own voice, and I think it works out better. Get a lavalier mic. Okay, if you're doing Zoom things, they're cheap. I got this from Amazon.com. This is, that's not the bag that it came in. So I got all these for 20 bucks. I got like a couple of mics, the spit foam things, 20 bucks for a package of them. They are cheap. They are great. You can plug them into your phone. They come with little adapters. You would be amazed at the difference this makes when you do any sort of online meeting, video thing. If you're doing an audition, the little mic is your friend because it's so much better than the microphone that is on your computer or your phone. And it's a simple, cheap. I would buy 2 or 3 of them because you will step on one. Everybody steps on one. And actors tend to have like scads of these. I've stepped on 3 in the last couple of years. Okay. If you are using a lavalier mic, and you could also use a boom mic, you could use the snowball mics. I think the lavalier mics work the best, and they tend to filter out a lot of sound too. So if your basement isn't quite the most quiet place in your house, too. But if you are using a mic system, cut back on your volume. Especially, I have to especially watch volume levels because I tend to blow out the mic levels just because I'm used to projecting so much. And so it's always pull back, and that's been my whole class experience as an actor for the past 8 years. It's like, pull back your sound. You don't have to be so loud. Actually, that's what my mother used to say. It's like, George, we're not in Fort Worth. We lived in Dallas, but I was the loud kid. So if you do mic yourself, just pull back on the sound just a little bit. Hold on, I got to pull up my notes. Like Gary said, take your time, don't rush, and take your time to breathe. As a college voice teacher, I can tell you what my day mostly was. 90% was breathe, breathe, breathe deeper. You need a quicker breath. Breathe again. Why don't you cut that phrase in half and breathe? Breathe, 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 breathe. I wanted a sign right here that said, just breathe, damn it. And when you're doing a big venue and you have to project your voice, you know, we got a lot of disservice from choir teachers and choral directors. They're always like, breathe from your diaphragm. Well, your diaphragm is attached to the bottom of your rib cage, and it pushes up on your lungs, forces air through your voice. That's how you can't actually control your diaphragm. You control all the muscles and organs in your thorax, and that's what pushes up the air, pushes against the diaphragm. So my little trick as a singer always was to breathe to the waistband of my pants, like an accordion. If you breathe and you fill out, you fill out the front, everyone take a big deep breath. And you feel the stomach come out, put your hands under your ribs. If you breathe and your ribs go out that way, and then you take a third breath and put your hands on your lower back. If you breathe and you can feel your back move, you are doing what any classically trained singer does. You are breathing low and all the way around your body, front, sides, back, okay? This will keep your voice supported. This way not only support, this will send a better, more consistent airflow through your voice box, through your larynx, and it supports your vocal cords better. When you're breathing and supporting and you have good airflow going, your vocal cords barely touch. In fact, when you sing, they kind of do this little undulating motion. When you scream, you don't have any air in your voice. You're kind of vocal frying. They slap together. It's really unhealthy. And that's when people start getting vocal damage like nodules and polyps. So breath will save you every time. And like Gary said, if you take your time and take a nice big open breath where you can't hear yourself gasp, it's going to save you a lot of wear and tear on the voice over the season. The first year I lived in Connecticut, I was an elf on the Essex steam train. I was the world's oldest elf. And it's a 90-minute show of singing, dancing, talking to children. It's great. You're on a train, you're in a train car, you have 65 guests, and you talk for 90 minutes solid. The train gets back to the station, you have 3 minutes, and you go again. It was the hardest vocal thing I've ever done in my life. It was so much harder than singing an opera. It was so much harder than being on opera tour. It was harder than summer rep in Ohio. I mean, it was vocally hard because you were running around and you just never, ever stop. Santa's kind of the same way. You know, you do a lot of talking as Santa. You know, these little tricks will help you, you know, keep it going for the season. My number one danger thing to never do, if you do get sick, if you do get a throat infection, if your voice feels rough, never use chloroseptic spray or drops. Never, ever use chloroseptic. It numbs your throat by killing the topmost layer of cells in your throat. If it gets on your vocal cords, it is bad news. So please never use any of those throat numbing sprays or lozenges. That's just such bad news. And I told singers that all the time. Avoid alcohol, caffeine if you can, although I have to say I'm a caffeine fiend and I love Diet Coke and it keeps me going all the way through New Year's. Caffeine is a diuretic and it will dry out your vocal apparatus. And you might want to take this next little recipe down. I have a friend, Linda Keith McKnight. She's a voice teacher in Houston. She sang at the Metropolitan Opera, beautiful soprano. And she gave me this recipe, which when I first found it, I was like, that's the weirdest fucking thing I've ever heard of. You know, it was like, she's like, no, try this. It's great. And it's what the Italian singers at the Met always used. So write it down. You take a cup of warm water, not hot, warm tap water will do just fine. And you add, and this is the weird part, a few drops of vinegar, a sprinkle of salt, olive oil, and you stir that together. And then what you do to it is even more important. You take it, you put it in your mouth, and you gargle with it for about 30 seconds. Then you hold it in your mouth for a full minute, longer if you can. I never would have thought this worked. It will let you sing for an hour when you have the worst cold you've ever had. It's something about the vinegar and the salt will cut through whatever is going on, gunk, bacteria, strep, I don't know. The olive oil makes it coat the inside of your mouth and the back of your throat. It is the best kind of fix-all. Like I said, it'll clear you up for about an hour. You can sing on it, you can perform on it. It's a simple little recipe. Oh, and we got Bob, you got a question.
Yeah, on the olive oil, is it the same amount as the vinegar, like a few drops?
Yeah, it's like maybe a fourth of a teaspoon, less, maybe an eighth of a teaspoon. It's only a cup of water. And so just a few drops of vinegar. You can use apple cider, you can use white, you can use organic. In a pinch, I've also used scotch. So whatever you want, it's something a bit acidic. And the salt too will kill anything in your throat. The olive oil seems to be the trick, that it helps to kind of coat your throat for a little bit and keep the acidity and the saline there in your throat. I don't know how it works. I didn't think it would work. I got sick doing an opera and it saved me. So try it. Try it. Write it down. You can put it in a thermos. You can make a double batch, put it in a thermos. Do it every hour, all night long. You're fine. It is the singer cure-all. It's what they pushed at the Met way back in the 80s and 90s. And I totally believe that it works. Yeah, it's worked for me. It's worked better than tea, honey, and lemon. It works better than a cup of scotch with a peppermint cane melted in it. I've tried everything. So try this the next time you have a sore throat and let me know how it works. The only other thing I have to say vocally, and this is something I kind of stumbled on a couple of years ago at Six Flags, and it helped me so much sitting in a chair to make sure I don't slump. Make sure my ribs are up and open this way, so I'm getting some breath, because you're sitting down for hours on end too. And just making sure your posture is nice and upright, and you're breathing all the way down to your belt, all the way around, front, sides, and back. I think you'll have a great season. You're not going to lose your voice or have any problems. My other thing, this is the very last thing. My very last thing. And it helped me vocally, is to smile and have more fun than anyone else in the room. Because when you smile, when you're talking, it adds overtones to your voice, because you've increased the space on the inside of your mouth and sinuses kind of this way, and it gives you better forward placement into your mask area. It also makes you look pleasant. And it brightens your sound somewhat. A brighter speaking voice will carry through a noisy environment instead of a kind of a dull voice, where you kind of muffled it and everything. And it's a real silly little thing, but keeping everything lifted, like your sinuses, your cheekbones, your soft palate, it is easier to speak over a gang of children who are screaming at you when you keep it bright and happy, and if you're having fun, you naturally do it anyway. So anyway, now I had a question over here, Charlie or Thomas, somebody raised their hands. What's your question? And I'm going to unmute everybody. Oh, no, you are unmuted. Yeah. So what's your question?
Well, actually, I was just going to say a trick for posture, especially if you're scooting forward on the chair and you're about to do some performance, is you take your foot and you hook it around the back leg. And that will force your back to straighten up. And so now you're leaning forward, and it will help your posture a great deal.
When I always thought of breath for singing, I always thought of my vertebrae in my spine as doing this, as opening up. So I was always trying to take a tall breath to lift up out of my hips. And that's the same thing. If you think that long space, you're going to support really well. I do have one other thing, and I put it at the beginning of the chat. Today, I am using an Amazon Basics laptop stand, and it is awesome. And you can, no matter how tall you are, you can adjust your platform all the way up. You're not having to bend over at a table or a desk or anything. If you are doing a lot of these Zoom or video Santa things, I suggest you go to Amazon Basics. It was $48. It is sturdy. It's sturdier than if elves made it. And it's heavy duty. You can adjust it to your height. I've been using it for self-tape auditions. I used it in a rehearsal last night for a table read. And my wife has been, she's in Meeting Central at Yale. She's been using it. It is the best piece of equipment I have bought to date, to self-tape, to video conference, is a laptop stand. And it's Amazon Basics, $40, and it is a monster. I love it. I can't tell you. In fact, I think I'm going to buy a second one at the beginning of the month so I can have one down in the basement where I am right now and one upstairs too. So that is my tip. So
Amazon Basics laptop stand?
Yeah, it's if you go to the chat screen and you go up to the very top.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I got it.
Yeah, it's, in fact, you can click on this. I'll even copy it and put it down to the, I'll copy it and post it again.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
Wow. Nice.
I take, it seems like a real obvious thing. It's better than a music stand. The top tilts, there's a place for your wires. There's room for a wireless mouse if you have a mouse. You could even, if you have a small iPhone, tripod, it would fit here. I can't tell you how excited I am. I'm not getting a kickback. I'm going to buy a second one too. It is awesome, awesome, awesome. And it tightens up so you're not going to lose your laptop anyway. Because I've had a laptop fall off a music stand. They're just not strong enough to hold it. So. But it's tall enough that if you're above 6 feet, you're going to have your laptop camera right at eye level. You can stand up straight, which also standing gives you a little bit more vocal energy. And they always tell you that for video auditions is always be standing. So. And Bob Smith, you have a question.
No, wait a minute. George, I just wanted to add something to what you had done. I'm sorry, I'll be done quickly. When you were doing diaphragmatic breathing and telling people to breathe from the belt, which is a great idea, but I found in teaching public speaking, people had trouble with it. So my go-to technique, which I found people have the least amount of problem, is lie yourself down on the ground put a pad down or whatever, but it has to be a fairly firm surface. Take a heavy book and put it right on your gut. Take
A 5-year-old works well too, or a dachshund. It works the same as a book.
yeah, okay. Take a deep breath and watch it go up and come down.
Yeah.
And that's how you can teach yourself diaphragmatic breathing.
That's an excellent method. I've used it myself in teaching. There are so many ways to describe breath for singing and breath for speaking. And it's like teaching voice, that everybody teaches voice slightly different because everyone's built slightly different. And you teach basically what works for your voice, and hopefully that works for other people. There are as many different ways to learn this I call it low body support, or waist support, or front back side breathing. The book thing is awesome. All you have to do is look up videos on YouTube on breath for singing, breath for speaking, and you'll find a whole bunch. And the trick is you find the one that works for you and you stick with that. The book thing is awesome. I've also had people, I don't quite agree with this one, who'll make you stand next to a piano, and when you breathe, you have to move the piano with your stomach. I think that's a little too much, but breath is the key. As long as you're breathing, your voice isn't going to get tired, and you're not going to lose it. You're not going to strain it. You're not going to start vocal fry. And I heard an interesting thing in my acting class this week from a casting director. If you send in an audition tape and you vocal fry, they throw it out. That casting directors hate vocal fry, and it's their number one pet peeve, and they will throw your audition out the window. Well, they'll delete it if you don't talk on your air. And it's a real problem with the 15 to 25-year-old set right now of girls, that they don't talk like they're supporting their voice at all. And they have that little vocal fry thing. It's so bad for your voice. It's so bad for your voice. Don't ever do it. And if you see someone doing it, correct them. No.
I'm sorry, I stepped on somebody else's question. What was
It was
the
Bob
question?
Smith had a question. He's been waiting patiently.
No, guys, it's your call. And by the way, Gary, the beard's coming in really good. I'm proud of you. You're doing good there.
I think everyone looks really good today. Keith, you might have the longest beard. Yeah. How long is your beard?
Oh, sorry. Let me just finish the idea here first. It's going to seem really strange, but a lot of times before you go on, you've got butterflies in your stomach, or sometimes you can get the hiccups.
Yeah.
And I actually lived overseas for a while, and there's an acupressure trick to help you get rid of hiccups. It's gonna sound really strange, but you squeeze the sides of your middle finger just by the cuticle, and you breathe in and out a little bit, and then you switch to the other hand, not the top and bottom of your cuticle, the side to side, and you just concentrate on your breath and you alternate back and forth between hands. I actually had a friend of mine who was on the phone. I told him to do that, and he said to me over the phone, "How did you do that?" And I said, "I didn't do it. There's some weird little acupressure thing. If you do it for a good minute or two, alternating back and forth, concentrating on your breathing, hiccups disappear." It's really weird.
That's a great trick.
It works. I've seen it work almost 100% of the time.
I sang with someone who was prone to hiccups, and she had a horrible time with it. She had a horrible time with it.
Yeah, it's true.
And welcome, somebody just joined us. Welcome. I am recording this, and I can post a link to this on the if you want to watch it, if you want to see what we've talked about, text message me, send me a messenger message, and I can send you a link to the recording of the meeting. Now, as Gary was talking about, our next meeting is going to be in September, probably September 18th.
No,
We were
October.
a little bit unsure.
October.
Oh, October. October. So, if you would like to participate in the Zoom reading of A Visit from St. Nicholas, 12th the Night Before Christmas, we'll each be doing at least one line. It depends on how many people are here. But if it's a group the size of today, you'll probably do a bunch of lines. We'll probably just keep cycling through the list. And I think it would make a fun recording. I would wear a red suit or at least a red hat.
I would be in uniform.
Yeah, in uniform I think would be great. Or casual Santa if you don't want to wear the whole outfit. But I think it's going to be fun. That's Anne's plan. She was sorry she couldn't be here. Something came up. And we'll be scheduling some more meetings, hopefully for November, although it starts to get a little dicey in November. We might move to a weeknight meeting or just suspend meetings altogether for the holiday season. True Thomas, you had a question.
So when you do the recitation, how are you going to handle everybody's names? Are they all going to say Santa Claus, Santa Claus, Santa Claus, Santa Claus?
That's a very good question. We hadn't even thought about that yet.
We're going to assign numbers.
Santa Claus? Does everyone have their own
Just
Santa Claus name? Like I go by New Haven Santa a lot, or Santa George, or Santa Gary. We'll talk about it. We'll take suggestions how we want to do it.
You could be Santa A Claus, and then some maybe Santa B Claus, Santa C Claus.
1A, 2B, 3B.
Pick a number.
Hey, George, if I could ask you real quick, because I didn't hear it come up, and I know it's a problem with a lot of people, even as somebody that listens to public speakers, dry mouth or mouth noises. Not, even though you've had you hydrate, they still make those annoying mouth sounds. I was told things like Banaka. There's some different drops and things you can use. Yeah. Any other suggestions?
There's a dry mouth mouthwash to help with that. I know that has helped some people. It depends on what works best with you.
I would suggest what helped
gum. A little piece of gum that you keep tucked around your back teeth, like your back molars, will help you keep some saliva in your mouth.
I also would suggest if you have, Scott wrote Biotine, that was it.
Yeah.
But I would suggest also, because I had a problem, speak to your dentist. Because sometimes it is a physical problem with the teeth. I had a cap that was ill-fitting and it was whistling right through a tooth. It was adjusted, no problem. So my suggestion is be aware that there may be a physical reason why you're getting some strident sounds, and speak to the professionals.
Yeah.
Also, you can also speak to an ENT, your nose throat doctor. George was throwing out some terms that some people aren't aware of. Vocal folds are the same thing as vocal cords. A fry is, well, he imitated it, so that but these are medical conditions, and if you have them, sometimes you should have a doctor check it.
Yeah. It's always good to have an ENT or an otolaryngologist number in your phone, and I think, singers should keep people like that on a retainer. But
they have to pay tuition also.
Yeah, but no, your otolaryngologist is your friend. So when you get the flu and you have a big concert over the weekend, there are things that they can give you, like shots, where they're like, I don't want to give you this shot. And you're like, give me the cortisone. There are things that they can do to help you through stuff. You kind of have to beg them sometimes. Yeah. And just like in singing, there are lots of different ways to handle problem. problems like dry mouth. Luckily everyone carries water with them these days, so it doesn't look weird. I've also used the roast beef trick. If you have a good image sense of roast beef or frying hamburgers, usually your mouth will fill with saliva. Oh, it just did. Yeah. So pick your favorite food, get a great mental image, and see if you can make your mouth fill with saliva. There used to be a chef named Marcel Dussaulnier out of Baltimore who was a chocolatier. And the way he said, okay, you start with a bowl of chopped chocolate, because he had a Baltimore accent. And something about the way he said a bowl of chopped chocolate, to this day, it makes my mouth water, that phrase. It was a very Pavlovian response to that phrase.
I'm getting it right now, George.
Yeah, a bowl of chopped, but I can't do a Baltimore accent, so chopped chocolate. Yeah, it's just the way he said it, And every recipe on his show started with a bowl of chopped chocolate, So, but I was a big supporter of Diet Coke and Velaments as a warm-up when I was singing professionally. They don't make Velaments anymore. It could cut through anything. Diet Coke will cut through anything, any gunk, phlegm, snot, anything. But that was my own personal choice. Other people like tea. Other people like scotch.
A lot of people like Ricola.
Yeah. Yeah, I never found that they actually helped me much. Velaments were sugar-free too, which, but, find out what works best for you and use that.
One gotcha I want to point out to everyone, I don't have a water bottle with me, but one thing I see people do all the time, and it's a big mistake, is let's just say, for instance, this is my water bottle. They will reach down, they'll have the water bottle next to them, they'll reach down, take the cap off, drink, put the cap back on, and put it back down. The problem is that your gloves have been touching everything and all the kids. Mm-hmm. And so when you put your hand on top of that cap, you've just infected yourself. And so always, 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 if you're going to have something on the set that's going to hydrate you, it's best to have something with a straw that you don't have to physically touch. And but be really careful with water bottles, and especially if you're wearing gloves, because that's a great way to catch the crud for the season.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a great advice there. Great advice there. Last year was the first year that I did not get sick. In like about 8 years, I did not get the cold that swept through Massachusetts and Connecticut and Rhode Island. I don't know how I avoided it. It was just luck, clean living. I hope it stays with me this year. But I did notice that flu shots are starting up now. So get your flu shots, man.
Please.
Yeah. My acting teacher let it slip that he believes that flu shots are a way that the government culls the population. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, that's not what I'm paying you for. I'm paying you for acting lessons. But, no, get a flu shot. I mean, I'm diabetic, so my doctor always recommends a flu shot. And last year I got the double strength, and maybe that's why I didn't get sick.
One of the things to remember is a lot of the colds that we get are actually coronaviruses. The actual the flu that we often get is a coronavirus. It's just one member of the coronavirus family. And so when we get the flu shot and everything, we're actually boosting up our immune response. So there is some proof that people who do regular flu shots actually have a little bit more resistance to the coronavirus.
That's awesome. Yay, I have a scientific argument to take to my acting teacher. Although he doesn't believe in science either. So I was like, okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
I was wondering about noise canceling microphones. If you're doing like a Zoom meeting, I have a 2-year-old dog that's going to bark, a 13-year-old son. And is there any recommendations that you would think for like the Zoom and stuff?
Yes. Like I said, a lavalier mic cuts a lot of that. And I think if you go to the Zoom meetings, there is some there's some noise canceling option, or a noise canceling option.
More important than noise canceling is a unidirectional microphone. So you have what's called an omnidirectional and unidirectional. Unidirectional will just take what's in a straight line. Omnidirectional will take the entire room.
Yeah.
So that's really more important, that you just get your speech and not everything around you.
And duct tape works. Duct tape works very well, either on the muzzle or across the child.
Or write a backstory for the dog, and it's Santa's new puppy, and make it part of your script, man. You know, if it's gonna happen, take it, roll with it, and make it your thing that Santa got a puppy before the holidays, you know?
You have barking reindeer.
Yeah.
He's almost as big as a reindeer, so it might work.
What is
George, are you using a leveler mic right now?
No, I haven't figured out how it works with a Zoom meeting, because when I plug it, you know, if you're using a phone, you just plug it into your phone and it works when you self-tape. With a Zoom meeting, it cut out everybody else's sound, so I wasn't hearing anything. So I think I'm going to have to play with it and see how it works in a Zoom meeting. There's a way to do it. I just haven't figured out how to do it.
Also, understand something. My brother's Zoom, if you're using Zoom, Zoom just had an update. So make sure you update Zoom if you haven't done it within the past 3 days. It's changed a little bit. I'm still getting used to it, but a lot of these bugs have been worked out.
One of the things you want to be careful about, if you do mention a puppy or something like that, most people are going to want to see it. So if you talk about it, people are going to want to see it. So that's kind of an issue. One of the problems with a limiting mic is they have a tendency to clip at certain levels. And so if you have a certain amount of ambient noise, what will happen is you will start to talk and it'll trim the front end or the back end of your speech. And so your voice might sound a little choppy. If you look at the rig that Keith Carson has, nobody's really going to freak out if Santa looks like he's flying in from the North Pole, you know? And so you can use something like Keith's rig if you're in a really noisy environment. And, you know, you could get a red one, you could decorate it up or what have you. So there's another thing you can do is if you want to spend some money, you can get a small, like a Countryman style mic and put that right up in here. And the thing is if you do it right, you probably won't even see it. Right. Because the mustache. But the problem with the lavaliers I always found is that I always get beard noise when I move my head back and forth.
Oh.
And so when I'm on stage, you know, they have to pin that lavalier mic a good distance away from my beard because I'm being very physical and they'll hear that.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Hey, George, if you were plugging in your microphone to your laptop and it cut out the speakers, it might be you might have a headset microphone and not a separate microphone only. Does that be
like this? Yeah.
Yes, but the jack on the laptop, if you don't have a microphone only.
Yeah, it's just a sound. It's like an audio jack.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's the plug. But the hole in the laptop, you might need to get an adapter.
There are adapters, and there are also Bluetooth microphones, so you can bypass the whole thing of plugging it in.
Right.
It's a lot less problem when you're like video or you're self-taping on your phone. Then you can just plug it into your phone, and there is no problem at all. In fact, these little, if you have an iPhone, of course, they don't have that audio jack thing, and you have to. Wait, where is it?
You got to use the dongle.
Yeah, this.
Yeah. Technical term for it, dongle.
Yeah, dangly dingle thing. So, no, I think if it's just one way, if you're making a recording, if you're doing a video to send to someone, you're not going to have any problem. It's only in the Zoom meeting that I found,
Right.
and I just, I literally just got these in the mail because I'd stepped on my old ones. And so, your iPhone, a smartphone is pretty good though. It all in all, people, since self-tape auditions are the way everything's going now, and it's cheap to do it that way, and so the industry isn't going to change after everything opens up. But your phone, you can self-tape, edit, audio, visual on your phone, and it's easy as anything. And so, when push comes to shove, your phone is great. I do 90% of the stuff I do is on my phone and not my laptop. So,
Okay, I guess on that note, we can thank you all for coming.
Yeah.
We hope that,
hope you're staying safe.
yes, and I hope that you could use some of the things we discussed here. If there are questions, you can contact us through the Facebook page.
And thanks, Scott, for that Amazon tip of the USB hub. That's a great thing, and I'm ordering it as we speak right now. So thank you.
You plug a microphone into a headset only jack, and it cuts out your speakers.
Yeah. Okay, I'm buying it right now. Okay, thank you. I love how you can instantly go, oh, I need that click, and it's on its way. Yeah, I reached the old man point in my life this week when I found myself contemplating whether to throw out a box because it was a really good, strong box. And was like, oh no, I've turned into my grandfather. I mean, it was a good Amazon box, let me tell you. And it had great packing. It's like, I shouldn't throw this in the recycling bin. I should keep that. And it was like, oh, whoa, where that was my granddad. What is he doing here? Get out. You know?
Yeah, I just got my adapter the other day because I've had a shotgun mic and I haven't been able to use it. So I just plugged it in right before this Zoom. So let me ask you, does it sound okay?
Today? Yeah, it sounds good.
All right,
sounds
very
good.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Does sound good.
Yeah, your voice will sound a little more rich and full with basically any kind of mic. And I've become I'm a fan of YouTube. When you go on YouTube and go like, lavalier likes, mics for auditions, mic for self-tape. And there are several where they use different mics and you get to hear what their voice sounds like using different setups. And it's like, sometimes it's really amazing what a difference that makes, just having a specific product,
Charlie.
First, can you guys hear me okay? And the second thing is, have you guys had any problems with USB mics like the Snowball Ice being muffled with Windows 10?
Yes, I've had a problem using it with my laptop.
Yep, me too.
I never tried it with the desktop because I have the microphone along with the camera, and that has not been an issue. But with my laptop, I had problems with it, and what I did was what George had said. I went with the lavalier with an adapter, and it worked fine. So, but I didn't do that on Zoom. So
it works fine on Zoom.
I did that on Google Classroom and Google Meets.
Yeah.
What I would recommend is whatever microphone you're using, record yourself doing some material. Because if you're going to be singing, if you're going to be doing character work, if you're going to be doing anything where you're going to be changing your volume or the timbre of your voice, you want to practice it first, because what will happen is different mics will respond differently. They all have different frequency response. And so, for instance, if you're going, big, jumping jingle bells, how are you all doing? You actually want to hear what that's going to sound like, because it may sound like jingle bells, right? Because an audio limiter is kicked in that you didn't know about or what have you. But you need to get all this nailed down before the season starts.
Good point. Excellent point.
All right. Once again, gentlemen, thank you. It's a pleasure. Please stay safe, stay healthy. We hope to see you back here next month for our reading. You'll have more information as we get closer to it. Pleasure seeing you all.
Thank you, guys. Best regards to Ann, too.
Yeah. If you have any suggestions for anything you'd like to see in a meeting or anything you want to include, just let us know. We're way open for any suggestions. If you have a great product, if you have something you want to try out, this is your place. Just
And
let us know.
right after the holidays, we'll be able to get together in person.
That would be cool.
Yeah, get together, have a couple of drinks, have a nice meal, and
Cookies.
actually touch each other.
Ew, no, ew. Ew, that's creepy, Gary.
I know.
Ew, no. I'm Scottish. We naturally social distance. The sad thing is my wife and I were discussing it. It's like, our lives have not really changed that much. No one ever comes over to our house, and it's like, are we horrible, grumpy old people? Or are we just Scottish? What's the deal? We just naturally social distance.
Got to remember, there's an exception for the Scots, right? Because is this a private fight, or can anybody join?
We're not the happy people. In music, the joke is every Scottish folk song is about some sort of death, like patricide, matricide, fratricide, infanticide, murder. All Scottish music deals with death in some way.
I thought us Irish people were violent.
No, but the Irish are happy. They might be just as miserable as the Scots, but they have a happy face about it.
All right. Be well, everybody. Take care. And we'll see you in a month.
Thanks again, guys.
Take care.
Stay well, everyone.
And make sure you tell Ann nobody needed bail money.
Oh, anyone that's in jail, call Keith Carson.
Hi, everybody.